Hello, good morning, kids. I am Mrs. Cyril Gaur, your English teacher, and today we are going to learn our new lesson from Pact with the Sun or a supplementary reader. Lesson number 4, The Old Clock Shop. So let's start with our lesson. It's Christmas Eve and closing time for shops. Ray's old clock shop is still open. Two shoppers call at this late hour. Christmas Eve had arrived as last minute shoppers were going home. A thick white sheet of snow lay over Salt Lake City, US. Yet the lights were still burning in the old clock shop as Ray, its old deaf owner, worked on a clock he had saw he had sold that day. Now it was a Christmas Eve. This is the story took place on a Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve means the evening before Christmas. It's 24th of December. So it was Christmas evening, and it was the time to close shop at Salt Lake City in USA. But light in Ray's shop were on because he was repairing a clock that he had sold. Ray, the owner of the shop, was old and deaf. Having finished his work, Ray stood up and was on his way to the back room when a cold rush of air from the front door hit the back of his neck. Now, after finishing his work, when Ray got up, a cold wave of the air touched his neck from the front door. Now he turned to meet a last minute shopper, but his old wise eyes told him that this was not a shopper. He saw two men, one in his 20s and the other closer to 50. The younger man remained at the door. The older man approached the counter with no sign of friendliness in his eyes. Ray was able to hide his growing fear as he slowly pushed a notepad and pencil across the counter. Now, as the cold wave of air touched his neck from the front door, Ray turned to see that the shopper who came to his shop at the last minute. But as a wise and experienced person, he noticed that they were not a shopper. Actually, they were not a customer. He saw two men. One was young and around 20 years old, and the other was middle-aged person, almost 50 years old. The younger man stopped at the door. He remained at the door. He stopped at the door, and the middle-aged man came to the counter. His eyes were reflecting the cruelty of his heart because there was no friendliness in his eyes, and his eyes were reflecting the cruelty of his heart. He was not come with a good decision, but somehow Ray wisely hid his fear and slowly pushed a notepad and a pencil toward them. He smiled at the unfriendly face, then pointed to his ears and shook his head from side to side. A quick look of surprise changed the man's face as he studied the notepad, then turned and said something to his friend. Now the information on the notepad brought a change on man's face. He smiled and then with his gestures point to his ears and shake his head from one side to another side and told the other man that he was deaf and he make a gesture to his partner. The shopkeeper was deaf and dumb. Ray used the chance to look closely at the man, paying attention to the shape of gun and restless hand in man's right coat pocket. Anger boiled within him, but he was kept down by an inner voice that said, "Be still, be still." He wrote on the notepad, "May I help you?" For the first time, the older man looked directly at Ray and smiled, a cruel, mocking smile. They both understood why he was there, why his friend remained at the door. They looked like men who were down on their luck and were now ready to try something they would later be sorry about. Now Ray was deaf and dumb. He informed his partner. The shopkeeper Ray was deaf and dumb. The last minute customer, the middle aged man who came to the counter, he informed to his partner that the shopkeeper is completely deaf and dumb. Then he smiled to deaf and dumb shopkeeper. This when the man turned toward his partner, this moment gave chance to gave Ray some time to look and examine the man closely. He observed that the shape of the gun and his hands movement in his coat's right pocket. Ray was sure that there was gun in his pocket because his hand was restlessly moved, because he came to do something that he hadn't. Ray was feeling angry inside, but his wisdom asked him. His wisdom asked him to cool down and be calm. His inner voice, his wisdom, his inner voice, his heart was making him calm. Cool down, Ray, cool down, Ray. This kind of voice from inside coming. And he asked the man writing on the notepad if he could help him. How may I help you? He write down on the notepad, and he just passed the notepad to the last minute customer or the middle aged person. With this, the man looked straight at Ray and smiled. It was a cruel smile, as if making fun of something, because the customer knew very well, how could you help me? You just pray for yourself. This kind of smile, very cruel smile, very mock smiles. Mock smile was that they both understood that why and the reason for their being in the shop, why they are being in the shop. They both know the reason. They both know the reason of the smile, and both know that why they are in the shop. The one man standing, and Ray was know very well why one man was standing outside the shop and why the other man came to the counter. As they were unlucky people trying something to which they could repent later. They were trying to do something, for that they have to pay later. They have to pay it for later. They have to repent for that whatever they came to do. We know Ray knows that his visitors are in need. He accepts an old watch in exchange for a good sum of money. The message of peace and goodwill is spread wherever as the old clock chimed Merry Christmas. Now, in the second part, the clock ticked on. Ray calmly wrote another message. Have you come to pick up a clock or watch? Then he pointed to the lawn board filled with hanging clocks and pocket watches. He was not a pawnbroker, but at the same time couldn't say no to the needy people who placed their old watches or clocks before him for anything they could get. He loaned more than he should. They would be there when the owner wanted them back, at the same price he had paid with no interest. Now, Ray knew at heart that these visitors were in need of money. So Ray quietly asked, writing a message if they had come to take a clock or watches. Understanding their need, Ray also pointed to the lawn board filled with hanging clocks and pocket. In the shop we can see many kind of boards, and he was also giving to the needy people. So one board was there, loan available. He just point out the board. Then tell them that he gave money as loan in exchange for people's old watches and clocks. He was not a man. Pawnbroker means a man who gave money to people to take some security in return or earn interest. He was not a pawnbroker. He was not taking any kind of interest on the mortgage thing. Rather, Ray did all that to help the needy people. It was because of his helping and kind nature. Then the old man seemed to feel a little easier, took out his hand from his pocket and quickly looked at the watch on his wrist. How much will you give me for this? Uh, how much will you give me for this? The man wrote. Now, this behavior make the man little easier, make the man little comfort. This meant the older man feel comfort. He relaxed. He was just relaxed. It is not such a commie person. He was kind person. Now he looked at his watch on his wrist and asked Ray what price he could offer him for that. Ray noticed a little shame in the grey eyes looking at him. The watch was nothing special and yet had a great power. It was something to exchange, a way out of a bad situation, knowing that great need had brought the man to his shop the first place. Ray asked, "How much do you need for it?" The reply came back on the notepad, "Whatever it's worth." Now Ray felt that the man was a little ashamed. The watch was not a great worth, not valuable. Actually, it was so cheap watch, but yet it has a power. Yet it has a special power, because with this Ray could turn around a bad situation. He just came out from the he could come out from the bad situation and come out of it safe, because of the cheap and cheap watch with a great power. Understanding that the man's need and helplessness, because of which he was into such a bad act, because of he was in a first step means in a bad act, in a bad situation. Ray asked him what was his need. The man replied to Ray, writing on the pad and saying he should pay whatever was the worth of the wristwatch. Ray reached into his cash box, pulled out a $50 note, and passed it into the man's hand. As they shook hands, Ray looked into the man's eyes. They seemed to say thank you. They both knew the watch wasn't worth that much. Before turning to leave, the man wrote, "I will back to pick it up soon, as soon as I can. Merry Christmas." Now Ray went to his cash box and took out a $50 note. $50 rupees. He just took out $50 rupees, a single note, and he handed it to the man, to the old age man. It made him happy, and the note made the old man very happy. The man expressed gratitude from his eyes, say thank you very much, show a gratitude. Both of them knew that the watch was not of that high price. The watch was not so valuable. Before leaving, the man said that he could come back to take his watch as soon as possible, and wished him Merry Christmas. Now the watch was not worthy, but still it has some power to come out the three people from the bad situation. It make them out from the bad situation. And they both know the wristwatch was not worthy $50. Yet Ray gave him $50 rupees for the cheap watch. And the man said, "I will take my watch back as soon as possible," and wished him a Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. The little story ended on the half hour with the clock striking all together. The time timepieces, which had been looking on silently all the while, rang out the time with such feeling that even Ray thought he could hear them. Their sweet musical message was filled with hope. The timeless message of the peace on earth, goodwill towards all, was felt by the three men who stood in the old clock shop. Now, in the last paragraph, we see that the small story ended on the half an hour with the clock. It was not such a long story. It was not took much time. It was a story of half an hour. They all strike that particular time together, witnessing the all clock, because it was a clock shop, but obvious there was a lot of wall clock. All the wall clock strike together at a particular time, and it shows that the witnessing the whole incident, all the clock just striking together, and it is looking like that they were just witness of the story. They were just together witnessing the whole incident, whole story. Their musical striking bell produced a music which spread a message of hope and peace. And the music spread the message of love, message of kindness, message of hope and peace. This music was so sweet and impactful. It was so sweet and impactful that it seemed as if even the ray, deaf ray, were also able to feel it. He was not able to hear, but it was able to feel it. The message was so strong, so impactful, so sweet. He just feel it. He also, because he was deaf and dumb, he was not able to hear. But here the author say the message was so impactful that the three people, those who were standing in the shop, were able to feel it, able to hear it. The sweet and hope-filled message of goodwill towards other and peace on the earth was felt by everyone, and the message of the peace and sympathy spread everywhere as the old clock chimed Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. And now, kids, what is the moral of the story? Do you know the moral of the story? One should have our sympathy towards everyone, help them in need, and peace should prevail everywhere. So, it was the moral of the story. Hope you like the story. And now it's a time to say goodbye. We will meet in our next session. Till then, stay safe, stay home.